What's going on, everyone? This is Error Cuts for the Win, and I wanted to make this video to answer the question, is Nioh harder than Dark Souls and Bloodborne? More than a few people have asked me this in my streams, on my comment sections, and it's the question that's kind of just floating around. Whether it's to help people with their purchase decision, or they're just curious, for whatever reason, I want to help a little bit and attempt to answer this. As you know, I'm sure you do, I have not beat Nioh yet. So I will probably follow up this video once I do actually beat it. That's at least something that I think would be interesting, and to see if I change my mind, if I actually have a different answer. That would be cool. So I do plan on doing that. But in the meantime, let me just give you my stats. Let me tell you where I'm at in the game. I just beat the 5th boss, which is the Tachibana. I forget the rest of his name, but it's the second encounter with him, the one from the demo. He is tough, and I'm sure you guys remember him if you did play the demo. I just beat him, and I'm about to go into the next area in the game. So yeah, I'm assuming when people ask this question that they are familiar with Dark Souls and Bloodborne. They've played them before, they've probably beat the games before, so I'm going to approach it like that. I'm gonna just assume you guys are familiar, you know what's up, you know how the formula works. Ultimately, my answer in this video is that this is hard to answer. I don't know if I have an answer because there's a few things that run through my mind. One is that I'm pretty experienced with the Souls series now, so I have to think about that when it comes to Nioh. I have to think, okay, if I don't feel this is difficult, that's maybe because of my experience. That has to play a part, because if you guys don't know, you haven't been following me, or you're new to this channel, this is my timeline as far as the Soul series go. I beat Bloodborne first, then I went back to Dark Souls 2 and beat that. Then I went to Dark Souls 1, have not beat it. It's the Prepare to Die edition on PC. I'm trying to think how many hours I'm into that game. At least 15-ish, around there. But I'm stuck, and I don't want to get into the details, but I'm like stuck in the game. My weapons are all broken. I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. So I put it down for a while. Dark Souls 3 came out. I beat that, and that's pretty much as far as it goes. I did not play Demon Souls, so I don't have that on my record, but the rest of them, I have a lot of hours in those games. Bloodborne, for example, I think I have like 100 hours in there, at least. And Dark Souls 2, I put in a lot of time as well. Dark Souls 3 as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my resume. So I'm bringing that all up because when I first played Bloodborne, that was my first time with these kinds of games. That was my first time adjusting to, what this formula is all about, as far as stamina, as far as combat, the weapons that are in the game, the bosses, the difficulty level. All of that was very, I don't want to say new because I grew up on hard games, but just this Souls-like formula, yeah, I was new to it. So when I think about Bloodborne, I remember how much trouble I had with certain things. Certain bosses really kicked my butt, and I remember feeling like the bosses were genuinely hard, that no matter how good I played, they were just hard. That was something that I felt. But over time, the more experience I got, then I realized, like, okay, I'm in control. It's up to me. It takes a while to get to that point. Once I went to Dark Souls 2, it was kind of like resetting all over again, because it went from Bloodborne to Dark Souls, which is much on a slower paced combat system. It's more defensive, and just a lot of other differences that were going on. So going from Bloodborne to Dark Souls was another adjustment I had to do, and I had a tough time in Dark Souls 2, especially at the beginning. I had a real tough time. If you dig through my videos, you'll find it, you'll know. So I remember all of that, right? So I'm still, I got all that experience, played Dark Souls 1, played Dark Souls 3, went through all those, all those bosses, and learning everything that I could about those games and the combat and all of that. So now that I'm on Nioh, I have all of that experience. So a lot of this is very natural now. The dodging, the stamina and managing it, the bosses, and just, how I approach them, how much patience I know that I need to have. All of that is something that's just so natural to me now. So when I go through Nioh, I feel like some of it is kind of easy, But I know that if somebody was a newbie, they've never played these games before, and I've seen proof of this. I've watched other people play the game, and they struggle because it's a new thing for them. It's like they're Bloodborne, right? It's like they're experiencing what I experienced during Bloodborne. So it's really hard to answer this question. Some things that we can think about and I can actually lay out for you is obviously the combat is much more deeper in Nioh. There's a lot more to learn, but it's not overwhelming. It's not to the point where you're just going to be like, man, I don't get it. I don't understand. That's not going to happen as long as you have some kind of experience with any RPGs, because you're used to skill trees, you're used to leveling systems, weapon customizations, and things like that. If you're familiar with that stuff, much of this in Nioh is not going to be overwhelming to you. It's not going to feel like you just don't understand it. You'll get it. You just need to spend a few minutes just kind of reading through things and just kind of exploring and all of that. So there's a lot more layers here. That's like the best way to describe it. There's a lot more layers when it comes to the combat, when it comes to the leveling system, the skill tree. There's actually prestige points that you can use. There's souls matching and all of that when it comes to like the weapons. There's a blacksmith that you can do different things with. And it's just, there's a lot going on in Nioh. And if that to you speaks difficulty and it speaks just having to learn more, then I would take that into consideration. I would think like, okay, there's more here for me to learn, more for me to adjust to. But like I said, if you're familiar with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, you have the kind of experience that I have, or even more so, you've played Demon Souls and you've beat Dark Souls 1. If you've done all of that, I bet you're going to come into here and think, I got this, I can do this. Because the way I feel when I fight these bosses, at least so far, right? Because this could change. I want to make that clear. This opinion that I have could definitely change. I might get to the end of the game and think, wow, this is much harder. Who knows? It could definitely change. But so far, when I fight these bosses and I go through these areas, especially the areas, I feel like I'm in control. If I die, it's my fault because I was greedy, because I wasn't taking it seriously. And by that, I just mean that I'm kind of coasting. I'm not really trying hard. I'm just kind of not taking the enemies seriously. That's what I mean. I don't mean that the game's bad and I'm just not taking it seriously in that way. It's more so I'm just being laid back. I'm not really trying that hard because it does kind of feel like there's not that urgency yet. Because like I said, I'm only 5 bosses in. So, obviously I'm not even halfway through. But so far, I don't really feel that urgency to try my hardest for the areas. The bosses, a couple of them, yes. But for the areas, I just feel like I'm kind of just doing what I want. And if I die, it's because I was just being sloppy or greedy. And I know when I think about Dark Souls in particular, like Dark Souls 2 and even Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 1, when I would enter rooms at certain areas and certain points of the game, I would have to calculate what the heck I'm going to do, because there were times where if I did something wrong or I approached it wrong or I just rushed it or something like that, I would die really, really fast. It was like everything mattered, everything counted. I had to survey the areas. But with Nioh, I'm not really doing that yet. I'm just kind of wandering around, going room to room, and area to area, just like I have all the confidence in the world. So to me, that tells me it's not as difficult yet. It's just not on the level of like the Souls games as far as areas go. This latest boss that I just beat, he's pretty tough. The Tachibana guy, he so far is the hardest boss. He's kind of like on a Bloodborne level of difficulty. Because when I think about Bloodborne, I think about Father G, I think about Gurman, I think about Maria, those human bosses, and how tough they were, how fast they were. And this guy reminded me of them. So he's on that level. But the other bosses, not really. I felt like if I did die, it was just because I just wasn't trying my hardest, And then with Bloodborne, again, this goes with my lack of experience at the time. Those bosses, a lot of them felt tough. They felt really tough. I had to really learn the ins and outs when it came to the bosses and all of that. Now with Nioh, I feel like it's coming more quickly to me. It's like I said, natural. I'm learning the ins and outs much quicker. I'm seeing their patterns much quicker, and I'm adjusting a lot quicker. So yeah, like I said, this question, I can't really answer it. But if I had to just flat out say, okay, just based on the games and how they compare to each other, right now at this moment, Nioh does not feel as hard as Bloodborne. Dark Souls 3 is probably the easiest of the bunch, I would have to say. But then again, that could be all of my experience, you see? So I don't know, man. It's really hard to answer this, but I still wanted to make this video because I wanted to explain why it's hard to answer. And so I say you got to see for yourself. If you love Dark Souls, you love Bloodborne, there's no reason you should not play this game. I say it's a must buy, it's a must have, and you have to experience it. Flat out. That's what I have to say, because it's an awesome game. You're gonna love it. And if you loved Bloodborne the most, even better. You're going to be in love with Nioh. Straight up, you guys. So I hope this video helps a little bit. Some people, like I said, they've been asking me, and I tell them, it's hard to answer. So I wanted to make a video just to kind of cover all the bases and why I feel this way, and kind of get the message out there that you just got to play it for yourself. You gotta experience it for yourself, and please do, because it's an awesome game. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna do a first impressions video, because you guys know I love this game, so I feel kind of silly making a first impressions. But if you guys want me to, let me know. Right now, I'm focusing on playing, recording the boss fights, and that's pretty much it right now at the moment, besides this video. But I'm working on getting my quality a little bit better on OBS. I'm researching on that. Hopefully I can get it to look a lot cleaner for you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, how you feel about this question. What's your answer? Let me know in the comment section. And until my next video, you guys take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.